Hey friends, welcome to Mold Mending. You've got Renee Rivera here. We're going to talk about paint and no and low VOCs. Yes, I've got my headgear on here, my bandana covering up my hair, got my old shirt on, and then some painting gear, some of what we used. I've even got our paint that we used. So we're going to talk about a project we just got done doing and the reason why I chose to go with a 0 VOC paint because of my mold illness and the multiple chemical sensitivity that I have. Even smells to paint and construction material can be very annoying and create an adverse health issue for me. So knowing that we were repairing part of our wall, and then once that was repaired, needing to paint it, I was pretty adamant that we needed a safe paint as possible. So started to do the research. Actually, my husband sent me first an article to read on some safe paint. And then I even researched it further to find more out about what's the best paint out there, and figured, well, if I've already done the research, why not pass it on to you guys? So first of all, getting paint for those of us with mold illness or multiple chemical sensitivity, it can be a deal for us because we're dealing with some kind of a scent usually. And in the past, I've had allergic reactions walking into a home or a building that is freshly painted, and I'd had to walk out, especially, buildings, businesses and such. Sometimes if it's at somebody's house, I've got to air it, ask if we can have a window open. If it's an upstairs thing that was painted and I'm downstairs, then I just move close to a window. But work being done in my home, so I want to make sure that I can tolerate it. So figured best thing to do is let's go look for a 0 VOC, and is that really a legit thing? So let me share with you actually what a VOC is. I'm going to read this. So a VOC is an acronym for volatile organic compound. This refers to any liquid in addition to water that evaporates as paint dries. Traditional oil-based paints contain a chemical thinner that makes for a silky smooth application and finish. And as the paint dries, the thinner evaporates into the air and is inhaled by those living in the home. So keep in mind that VOCs also are emissions from building materials, and that is actually the emissions from building materials is a major source of indoor air pollution. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the Green Guard certification. So VOCs are what we want to avoid. It's basically a chemical that off gases from many different things, but today we're talking about paint. And yes, there are chemicals inside of a paint that if you inhale can make you ill. And for some people, you are more susceptible than others to these chemicals. So what is a 0 VOC paint? A 0 VOC paint, some claim is an odorless paint. I disagree. It's a low odor. It's the lowest odor that you can get of a paint. Also, 0 VOC paint is very safe, and it means that there are no volatile off-gassing chemicals being excreted into the air because of what is inside the paint. So that's 0 VOC. It's very safe. Online, it says you can actually sleep in a bedroom on the same day of when the paint was applied to a wall. They say that there is no toxin chemicals that are released, so you can sleep in the same room, same day. But I disagree, because those of us with any kind of a scent intolerance, we may not be able to do that. And that was my case. So we use this paint. It is a low VOC paint, but we did add tint to it. So a very light yellowish colored tint. But when you add tint, you are adding a VOC because tint has chemical in it. The darker the tint, the more VOC chemicals you are adding. So keep that in mind. And though I researched that, found that out, know that as a fact, it was nice to know that when we went to the store to make our purchase, Even the assistant at the paint counter knew this information as well. We went to Ace Hardware first, and I went to ask for a 0 VOC paint, and my local one did not have any. They did, however, say that Indiana has new laws against high VOC paints, and so they no longer sell anything with a high level of VOC in their paint. Almost all of them had a label of low VOC. However, that doesn't mean that that's the safest. It doesn't mean that it's odorless, okay? Unfortunately, we did not buy from our local Ace. I like to help out local businesses, you know, small businesses. But we had to go to the bigger box store. We ended up going to Home Depot because we needed to buy the gypsy board and some other materials plus the paint. So we ended up going to Home Depot. They had a brand which was an interior paint mixed with the primer. That was a 0 VOC paint. So we picked that up, and I'll show you that in a moment. But let's talk about low VOCs as well. Okay, so a low VOC paint is also safe. You can, they say, sleep in the bedroom painted the same day. But if you have any kind of a scent intolerance or you're sensitive to particular smells, you might need to wait 24, 48 hours according to the online folks. But for me, it would be 0 VOC. We actually kept our plastic up from the work that we started. So we put up a plastic barrier between our laundry and our kitchen, and because that was a wall that we were fixing. So he plastered it, sanded it down, we cleaned it all up, then we painted it, kept the plastic up because I just wanted to be extra careful about the scent, which I'm grateful I did, because though my husband couldn't smell anything, I did. Again, I'm the sensitive one here, the very odd sensitive one. And so it actually took me, it was 7 to 9 days, I can't remember which it was, where I was no longer smelling any residue, nothing from any of the cleaners we used. That was gone quickly because I used ammonia to do all the cleaning, pure ammonia. Once that was gone, we then started the paint work. That scent took about 7 days for me really not to pick it up. I had to be pretty close to it from that 7 to 9 days out. And then we pulled the plastic down, and I'm not smelling it in the house or anything like that. So I would suggest you put a barrier up if you can when you paint it, if you're a high sensitive person. What else? And then sleeping with it. Yeah, I wouldn't personally, because of my reactions to smells. I can't even stand air fresheners. So it would take me a week to a week and a half before I would sleep in a room, back in a room that's been painted with a 0 VOC paint. And now ours ended up being, again, a low VOC paint because we added a tint to it. Okay, so keep that in mind. What else? Low VOC is not odor free, and it does have some VOCs in it. And then the next type of paint would be your regular latex paint or your oil-based paint. And these are paints that are not labeled as eco-friendly or low VOC. Those would require a fair amount of curing time. And even though the paint will dry from 2 to 8 hours after application, chemicals, there's a lot of different varying comments about this, but the chemicals can take up to 2 weeks. Some sites say, but if you really think about it, about the air pollution, the emission from these building materials, some, if there's not ventilation properly done in the house, you could be getting off-gassing, that's what it's called, this emission. You can be getting this off-gassing of chemicals anywhere from 10 months up to 2 years even. So you really have 3 options of paint. You've got the 0 VOC, the low VOC, or your regular paint, which has VOC, which is going to be your emissions. And the thing I wanted to share with you is something to help you with your shopping of paint is you want to look for the Green Guard certification. I'm going to show that. Let me share the screen. And as you can see here, here's what that Green Guard seal looks like. It's actually like a, looks like a box, square box or rectangle flipped on its side. And inside of that, it has the word Green Guard. Above it is a circle with a plant leaf at the bottom and then UL at the top. And I'm just going to read a little bit. It says this is the majority of everyday chemical exposure in people occurs through the air that we breathe in our homes, offices, schools, and other indoor environments. These airborne chemicals are commonly referred to as volatile organic compounds, which I've been talking about, the VOCs, which are used to manufacture and maintain building materials, interior furnishing, cleaning products, and personal care products. Studies by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which is the EPA, and other researchers have found that VOCs are common in indoor environments and that their levels may be 2 to 1,000 times higher than outdoors. So then it goes into many different things, but basically the Green Guard certification, they are scientifically proven to meet some of the world's most rigorous third-party chemical emission standards, helping to reduce indoor air pollution and the risk of chemical exposure, and aiding in the creation of healthier indoor environments. Okay, so you'll find this on building materials, electronic equipment, cleaning, maintenance products, medical devices for breathing gas pathways. So basically the Green Guard certification is something that you want to look for in the products that you purchase. This equals it's a low emitting VOC product, and that Green Guard is a third party that monitors the VOC excretions and helps assure that you're buying a healthy product and ensuring that you have healthy indoor air quality. So this is the paint that we ended up going with. It's a interior paint and primer mixed in one. It started out as a 0 VOC, like I said, but because we added this tint, I'm gonna get my glasses, it did turn into a low VOC, but you can see on the side of our can, it's got the Green Guard certification. Get out of the way. You can see that. And then right below that, a lot of the paints actually have it on their label that says low VOC and low odor, or it'll say 0. I was going in there asking for no, but it actually has the word 0. But this one's actually on the side of this one. So here on the side, let's see if I can find it, provides a mold and mildew resistant coating. And then right here, it says 0 VOC and low odor. And it says that with little stars, colorants added to this base paint may increase the VOC level significantly depending on your color choice. Okay. So though you may go for a low or a no VOC, there are some other things to keep in mind. Some paints will put in alternative ingredients such as ammonia, and some people do have a reaction to that ammonia, though it is not this is one VOC that's not labeled, we'll just say. It still does have a chemical reaction for some people. Other things within, like mine that we purchased, it says it provides a mold and mildew resistant coating. That coating is probably a fungicide, and that's also not mentioned as a chemical per se that could be emitting that somebody could have a reaction to, but it is a fungicide to be that mildew and mold combat within the paint product. The other thing that could be an alternative ingredient is now they're putting in a lot of paints and other products for repairing homes and construction. It's called Crystalline Silica, and that is in a lot of latex paint. And when you are applying that, rolling that up and down the wall, that the particles can be released and you can breathe those in. And so there are ways that you can still have negative emissions coming off of some paints. So you do want to check out your ingredients. And that's one thing I didn't do with this one. I didn't check the ingredients on it. So, but I'm just sharing the one that we used for this project. In the future, if I find more information out on what's the best ones to purchase, I can share that with you. Okay, so things to look for as a summary is 0 VOCs. The lighter the color, the less VOCs with the colorant that you add to your 0 or low. Remember that regular latex and oil-based paints, though they say it dries quick, those toxic chemicals can very much, it can last months before you do not have a reaction to that. We've even purchased a home that sat for 1 year off gassing. Thank God. When we walked in, the only time I could really notice that heavy smell is when it was really hot. There was no air circulation. I could smell that cabinet, the stuff that's within the cabinets. There's like this glue that is used, and there is also formaldehyde in certain products. I've even purchased a bench before. As soon as I unpacked it from it being shipped, whew, it was so strong. High VOCs in that and a high scent from the glues. That had to go back. Anyway, hope this helps. Remember to look for your Green Guard certification as well when you're shopping, so that you're buying the more healthier product out there that's been tested and proven to be more safe and improve your indoor air quality. Okay, hope this is something that can help you when you go shopping for your next paint. All right, take care.